Exactly that. Well, the riders line up on the grid, ready for this one. 14 laps of Asia Talent Cup racing await here. In the wind, the howling wind of the desert. Could be desert storm here in the Asia Talent Cup. Will this man get 4 wins out of 4? Or will they finally trump him here in Qatar? I cannot wait. Could it be this man, Tayo Furusato, returning to winning ways here in the Asia Talent Cup 2 years on? The man with the red flag moves to the side of the circuit. We wait for the lights to come on, then they'll go off, and ATC will burst into life once again for the final time here in Qatar. It's another great start for Tayo Furusato. Tayo Furusato moves right across to the left-hand side of the track, straight in his slipstream, and once again, these two make an excellent getaway. That is Fedula Aditama in 3rd place, but for how long? Because we know how good Kanta Hamada is in this turn 1, running a wide line, but all safely through at the moment. Carter Thompson cutting a very tight line there on the inside of it, switching back for turn 2, all safely through at this stage, and it's almost a carbon copy of yesterday. Furusato from Sharil.
Yeah, you can see Sharil really gunned it to really slot in as soon as possible behind the number 15 in the lead. Furusato, though, pitch perfect from pole once again. And yeah, Aditama getting a good launch today to slot into 3rd and a little bit less hectic, but right behind him, it's all shuffling on this first lap.
Well, turn 4 was where the race ended for a couple of the riders yesterday, but still all safely through at this stage. This is turn 6 where the long lap penalty is. That is where Lacan, who caused that accident at turn 4 yesterday, will have to serve his long lap penalty. Not on this first lap, though. He'll get a notification at some point during the race when he has to take it.
Yeah, it's race direction that tells riders when they have to take that long lap, when it's sort of a predetermined penalty. So yeah, it's going to be interesting when they choose. Hopefully a little bit earlier for him so he can get it out of the way and then put some laps in.
And just over halfway through the lap now, there's already a bit of daylight between Furusato, Sharil and the chasing pack, which is not good news for them. However, it was not that the complete story yesterday. The pursuing pack did manage to catch them, but at the moment it's Aditama there. Can he replicate that pace that we saw in pre-season testing to maybe hunt them down?
Yeah, it's a good performance from him so far. I'm sure a little bit on the green there, though, have to be careful of that. But yeah, I'm sure he'll be encouraged by that and have a bit more confidence after his race yesterday. But yeah, like you say, there is that gap forming. Carter Thompson as well, looking pretty racy there in 4th place and itching to get past the number 3, the Indonesian ahead of him, who just tapped his seat, I believe, in the Classic. Lads, follow me.
Coming through the final corner then, we actually have a new name up in the leading group. Nicholas has made vast improvements. The Australian, the number 12, looks to be there in the chasing pack, dicing with Wakamatsu, so hopefully he can stay there throughout. He's actually pulling out the slipstream past Aditama. He could be going into 2nd place here across the line. He goes into 3rd place, I should say. That is excellent stuff from him.
Yeah, that's really good to see. He did really well in the race simulation in the test and was on the podium. So yeah, really good to see him now getting that under his belt in a race as well, even if it's just fighting for it. At the moment, really solid performance from the number 12 and not too flustered by where he is on track. And you can see there at your bottom of your screens, that long lap penalty then called in for Thanakon Lakan.
So he could take that from this lap, or, well, I think he's got a 3-lap gap to try and take it or something like that, hasn't he? But
I believe so, 3 or 5.
Yeah, so a couple more corners to go for him before he should really be taking that long lap penalty. But as we focus on the number 12 that's made his way into 3rd spot, welcome to, as his fellow Australian Carter Thompson goes up the inside at turn 6. A very smooth move there. So, and there we go, Lacan taking that long lap penalty, slotting onto the back of the group once again.
Yeah, hopefully with so many riders ahead of him and not losing out too much there, he'll be able to make use of that slipstream down the main straight when there's a nice big hole punched in the air by that group. But at the front then, it's as you were. Please do not adjust your set. It is just a nice replay of some of what we saw yesterday. So far though, the number 21 of Daniel Sharil able to hang on in there with the man of the moment.
2.3 seconds the gap was coming over the line. Carter Thompson behind them with his fellow countryman Nicholas behind him there. A very Greek sounding name for an Australian. That might cause a bit of confusion to some people listening in. But then behind them we have
not the
Aditama.
Cece's family, of course.
No, exactly. One of our esteemed colleagues there. Gumby in that group as well. And look at that, Hakim Danish back in the fight for the podium once again.
Yeah, it's good to see. And this is a real freight train fight at the moment that these guys are locked into. Not sure who that was, just trying to make moves. Oh, it's getting a little bit spicy there. These guys do need to be careful. Just outside track limits there and all getting a little bit messy. There is no need to be throwing away time at the moment. But yeah, Carter Thompson there staying really ahead of the game. Be interesting to see what that gap looks like when they actually get to turn 1.
Wow, yeah, Carter Thompson managed to make a bit of a gap there on his chasers, but they're coming for him in true Red Arrows formation, I should say.
Yeah, that was quite threatening.
Excellent stuff as they all pile down into turn 1. Carter Thompson loses out there. You've got Aditama and Mie there leading this chasing pack now as well. And I did see the number 14 of Tetsuya Fujita fighting with Kanta Hamada as well in that chasing pack. So another name added to the list. Another one chasing for the podium in the second Asia Talent Cup race. That's progression, visible progression right there.
It is, and that's exactly what all programs on the road to MotoGP are all about, and especially the Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup. So good performances from those guys, definitely worth mentioning and giving them a good shout out. But also shout out to fastest lap of the race from Tayo Furusato. And there, the way he was backing it in, it looks like he's really not taking it steady and probably pushing with the slightly better conditions, but Sharil able to stay with him at the moment.
Yeah, characteristically neat style from Furusato, but he looked a little bit more Daniel Sharil, letting the bike move underneath him, breaking down into turn 6 there. What is this replay about to see now? Is this, this is what happened in the final corner with Carter Thompson getting a bit of daylight between himself, but not for long. Replay coming down the straight then, the slipstream effect in full flow. Crikey, there's some changing lines there as they chase down Carter Thompson. He's about to get swamped.
Yeah, it's a bit of a heartbreaker, isn't it? He just sat there tucked in, absolutely pinned, but they're still coming. So yeah, but the Australian having another good race. He's really, he's really impressive so far this season. May not have quite been on the rostrum yet, but he's been threatening it every single time the lights have gone out. So I'm sure today he'll be thinking about how to maybe switch his tactics up a little bit out of that final corner.
I'm pretty exhausted already, and I just noticed it's still 11 and a half laps to go in this Asia Talent Cup race. It's still then Carter Thompson, sorry, I should say, out front from Aditama, Gunmie, Hamada, then Wakamatsu. So the usual characters in this one. Where is Hakim Danish? There he is, fighting with Fujita, and who was that with him as well?
That was Marianus Nicholas again, the Australian. So yeah, those guys then, there's a little bit of daylight between those two groups, but nothing the front straight shouldn't sort out. We'll have to see what it looks like once we've got into turn 1 again and they all go 75 abreast. But yeah, so these guys at the front then, it's still a sizable gap that they've got, and it's only growing. It's now over 5 seconds the duo at the front have pulled out.
5 seconds in just a couple of laps. If we look at the lap times being put in, 2:11s from both Furusato and Sharil, whereas the chasing pack could only manage mid 2:13. So that is the kind of difference there. And who's that going wide? It's Hakim Danish going incredibly wide at turn 2, slotting back in.
Bit of a cheeky slot back in there as well, yeah.
Oh no, it's Fujita, sorry, just slotted back in front of.
Yeah, so a little bit spicy in this group, but yeah, like we said, it's back to being one long freight train, that fight for third place, as that start-finish straight just concertinaed them back up a little bit. But as you can see on your screens, that time around, it was Sharil who was quickest around, but it was by 6 thousandths. So these guys, once again, really evenly matched at this stage of the race.
This looks to be a potentially very, very clever ride from Daniel Sharil, just sitting behind Furusato, not trying to make any rash moves. He knows Furusato, it's quite obvious, everybody knows it in the entire paddock, that he's got the pace to run away with this race. But Sharil made the necessary improvements just to cling on to his tail. He ain't going anywhere, and it looks like Furusato is just not able to shake him.
Yeah, it definitely looks like the number 21's there to stay for the moment. And we did see yesterday, when he did harry the number 15 a little bit, did actually manage to elicit a couple of mistakes. Nothing too major, but I was quite surprised by that after Furusato had held his nerve so amazingly to take those 2 victories last weekend with such a gap, that actually he did get a little bit flustered a couple of times, although yeah, like we said, nothing major, and at the finish line, no, he managed to pull it out again, so...
Look at this view on your screen there, absolutely peak Asia Talent Cup. How many riders fighting for that 3rd position spot? Wakamatsu in the lead at the moment. I mean, where did he come from? Where was he just a lap ago? Absolutely nowhere potentially. So who else have we got in the fight there as well? The number 18 and number 20, that's Tom Drain and Sharil. Welcome back to the podium fight, Sharil.
Yeah, definitely a little bit of an uncharacteristic day for the Malaysian based on his round 1 performances. But yeah, like you see, we've got Tom Drain in there Tayo Furusato, Nicholas, like we've mentioned already, Messiah Hongo as well, who had his one of his races last weekend hampered by a jump start. So yeah, it's a good little group here. I think it's 10 riders long. So some classic ATC action.
And then a further 3 seconds back to Bwapa there as well, the number 22 in 14th position. So this is a real heck of a race we've got on, and it's now 8 seconds that these two now have in hand. But still, Cheryl just showing Furusato a wheel. So this is becoming a really high-speed game of chess, a few mind games being played by just letting him know, I'm still here, pal.
Yeah, and I love races like this. I absolutely love it. I know, yeah, there's plenty of thrills in the freight train battles that we see in the ATC and Moto3, but I do love it when we get a proper duel to the line. So it looks like we're going to get another one today. And Cheryl, yeah, looking like he's really trying to make a point there and make Furusato more than aware that he's still very much with him. So it's Carter Thompson then, though, at the front of this group again, and they are still really giving it some here, aren't they?
Yeah, they really are. Flowing through turn 8 there into turn 9, this beautiful section of track. I can't imagine what it must feel like on some of these lightweight, ultra agile 8 of Talent Cup machines, and so many lines being taken by plenty of these different riders. It's such a wide track that we have here as well. That is part of the reason why you see such a variety in lines from these riders.
Yeah, it's just a classic ATC freight train, isn't it? But these guys then, I don't know, what do you think? I think Cheryl looks like he's looking to make a move soon.
No,
do you think he's
it'd be a bit hasty, that, I reckon.
I think it might, but I think I don't know, it's a great battle though, isn't it? We've got our Laguna Seca 2008 ATC version here. But I don't know, he does look very, very keen though to more than just show a wheel. But we'll have to see, because look how close he is there. Is he going to pull out, and then is he going to go for it into turn 1, or is he just going to say, hello, I'm here, and then sit back in behind him?
Yeah, well, it's characteristic. He's not been that much stronger than Furusato on the brakes into turn 1. Furusato's definitely got the measure of him in there. You can see the visible gap he opens up, a whole bike length almost breaking down into turn 1. So fortunately that's not actually the last corner. But what about these guys? The variety of lines and braking markers in there. Kanta Hamada just doesn't care. He's going to swipe the nose off anyone's face as he turns it into turn 1, not running that slightly higher, wider line than we're used to seeing. Who's that? Ooh. Up the inside there, up the inside of Danish, going down towards into turn 3, running it wide out of turn 2 onto the curves. Oh, look at that, Fran, we have a move for the lead. Cheryl just momentarily made it through on Furusato, so looks like you were right. He was trying to make a move sooner rather than later, but I've got to say, do you really want to make a move? Just sit behind him, just learn what you can, because this is the guy that has demolished everybody for 3 races in a row, and the guy's been sat on the sidelines for 2 years. This is such a learning opportunity here, but then again, these guys are young. Now he's tasting that podium. He wants to taste of victory once again.
Yeah, you never know. I was just purely going off body language. I don't necessarily think it's the best time. I would tend to agree with you. Here's a replay then, down at turn 4. So he left it a little bit late there and then just headed wide enough to let Furusato straight back through. But yeah, it'd be interesting now whether Furusato is going to take that as a signal to push to the absolute limit, or whether we're going to see Cheryl just, yeah, do it again and again and again until he makes that move stick.
No personal best or fastest overall lap times last time around. However, these guys were still in the 211s, just with a 211.9. The chasing riders still mid 213. So the pace here is red hot at the front. The others just can't live with it, unfortunately.
That little peak in your voice there, I was like, what's happened? Because I was just looking at the timing screen. But yeah, it's impressive from these guys. Once again, class off the field in terms of lap time. But like we've already said, it's not all about winning and speed in the ATC. It's also about progress. And there's plenty of guys in the second group who are showing that they've definitely made a little bit of that. Is this going to be it then? Is he going to go for the move into turn 1 this time around, or is Furusato going to have him on the brakes? I'm really not sure. It's hard to call from this angle until they tip in. So yeah, the number 15 then able to just stay ahead.
Furusato really is a master on the brakes there into turn 1. Nobody has a measure of him there whatsoever. Cheryl has nothing for him at that stage, but he does have enough for him in the slipstream over the line if he gets a good enough run out of turn 16, which if you think about it, that's where it really matters. What can he do here a lap later into turn 4 where he made a move previously? He's up the inside again, but no, he just takes a peek this time.
Yeah, it almost looks like he's getting held up at certain points on the track, but then at others it looks like he's struggling a little bit to manage to go with Furusato. So it's making a really nice, evenly matched duel here for the moment.
Oh, as he gets very out of shape into turn 6. You're used to seeing that, but not quite that much. He's got to be careful because he can't let him make that break, otherwise it's going to be a very lonely ride to another second place, and we know how much he wants that win. The whole of Malaysia wants Daniel Sharil to get this win, as he has another moment there coming out of turn 7. Who's that down in the gravel? Their butt patch has been scraped off. That's Youssef Al-Darwish, the local rider. It's not been a good outing, couple of weeks for him.
Yeah, after that bad luck yesterday, getting wiped out early on, that's a bit of a heartbreaker for him on home turf as well. But a rider up and seemingly pretty okay, which is the main thing. But yeah, so a sad end to his second home round.
A little more daylight now than between Furusato and Daniel Sharil. Nearly 0.3 of a second, but will that be enough for Furusato to break the slipstream on the home straight? I would say not. It looks like Sharil is very, very quick through these triple right-handers and on towards turn 15. This is the chasing pack. What's been happening here? You've got Danish, the number 13, up there into third place, chasing another podium, a third one here at the Lusail International Circuit, but he's got Hamada for company, and there's Carter Thompson, the pocket rocket. We know what he can do in the slipstream down the front straight.
Yeah, this is going to be another interesting one, isn't it? It's not quite the same locked together freight train as it was, but yeah, Danish and Hamada then with a little bit of fresh air at the front of that train. But let's see then, so Sharil then using that slipstream to get right back on the back of Furusato. Panic over for now. He's cut down 0.2 in the last bit of that lap, so good news for those of us wanting to see this go all the way to the wire.
Halfway through this final Asia Talent Cup race at the Lusail International Circuit for 2021. Hamada's got the jump of everybody into turn 1. Carter Thompson could not use a slipstream effect to its full potential that time around. He's got Gunmie there just nearly touching his back wheel as well. Aditama just ahead of him there. This is a great ride from him. And also the number 12 there of Marianos Nicholas, the fellow Aussie there, just clinging on third in this particular group. Going up the inside now for Kim Danish. Is he into turn 4? Yes, he is!
I love those onboards when you just see, and he's going for Hamada as well. That's quick progress from the Australian. Really good stuff, and yeah, great shot from that onboard as he just pips past and appears in the shot. But I wouldn't be surprised if Hamada answering back then pretty quickly. He'll probably know, like, this is a rookie. I'm not really sure I want to get lost in this group fight. I had a little bit of an advantage there, and I want to be the one more in charge of the pace in this second group. But yeah, Marianos Nicholas, really impressive here, and looking like Hamada's almost in his way.
Shout out for Indonesia as well, and Fadila Aditama well in the fight for this podium this time around. This is what you like to see. Get behind your man, Indonesia, because he's there in this fight for third place.
YouTube comments just went off.
Yeah, they just absolutely exploded. Excellent stuff. And what about the Aussies as well? Carter Thompson and Nicholas that you've got to cheer for in this leading group. What has happened, though, to Tom Drain? Is he at the back there? I think he is. The number 18 at the back of this group. In 11th place at the moment.
So there's now a little bit more of a gap back to Fujita and Sharil. So, but it's Tom Drain, just on the back of this group. So we'll have to see how it shuffles again. Oh, these onboards are great.
Wow, who was that? That was Carter Thompson up the inside at turn 15 there. Got to be careful, these track limits on the edge of the track, not least because you can get penalised, but because it's quite a big rumble strip there, and with these small bikes, well, they haven't quite got motocross suspension on them, so I don't know how well they'd be able to cope with them. Onto the start and finish straight again. What about the slipstream this time around? How many abreast are we going to get into turn 1? Take your bets.
I think 10.
All 10 of them.
Yeah, it's going to be good, this one, I think. We know.
Getting the very, very elbow paint swapping between Thompson and that's Hakim Danish, the 13th there. Gunmie up the inside. Is he going to make it? Hamada says, no, I'm going to chop your nose off round the outside, as I love to do. That's just my regular line.
Yeah, so well held from Carter Thompson there after those brief handbags at dawn. But this is getting spicy again, isn't it? So Hamada then not able to keep that advantage, although doing a nice job, as always, at turn 1 to not lose too much ground. But yeah, I think on the final lap, this is going to be quite some battle.
Yeah, no one really wants to give away their position either. The lines they were running into turn 4 there were distinctly less sweeping and cutting a more inside line. So, well, look at this. The number 12 then, Nicholas, back into third place. And oh my goodness, Not that many riders should really fit onto that singular line there around turn 6, but they're all together once again. Wakamatsu's been shuffled back to near the rear of that group. Crikey.
Yeah, it's Nicholas though a little bit wide there, so yeah, just has to keep his head now, the Australian rookie, keep it nice and calm with his compatriot right behind him. But
I hope we're actually going to get some views of what's happening with the leaders very soon, because if you check the timing tower to the left of your screens, Furusato's now got nearly a half a second gap over Sherrill, but it's come down once again by a quarter of a second, so maybe it was just a mere mistake from Sherrill. But that's a few mistakes we've seen now. Is the pressure getting to him? That's the question.
Yeah, this is the question, isn't it? It's a really interesting chess game there at the front between those two. But yeah, you pointed at that gap. It's like, oh no, is it over? But he's managed to close down those 2 tenths again. So yeah, we'll have to see what that looks like in a couple more sectors, see if it was just a moment. But this battle for third is just a stunner, isn't it? Look at Danish just sailing past there.
Yeah, a cracking line out of turn 15, a real excellent run. But what about the final corner then? It's just such a variety. How will it affect everyone's respective runs to the start and finish straight? How about this then? So 0.06 of a second split the times between Furusato and Sherrill last time around. We're now into the 2:12 bracket, so maybe a bit of tyre wear coming on, a bit of, well, fatigue perhaps coming in, or perhaps they're just seeing their pit pause, seeing the gap is now 16 seconds back to third place. Just thought, oh, we don't need to be doing this.
Would you like to stop for a cup of tea?
Yeah, quite.
Yeah, so yeah, their lap times were incredibly similar again. I think it's 600ths last time around. So panic over. Looks like we're going to go all the way to the wire. These guys, though, they just can't stop getting in each other's way, can they? It's really a lot more aggressive than we saw yesterday at times, and a lot earlier in the race as well. You can see there Thompson just muscling his way through.
Trying to shove Hamada wide, but he is really stubborn. When riders try and push him out wide, he just hangs it on a slightly wider line, keeping the corner speed, or perhaps even more. He really doesn't want to let go of any of these positions, does he? What a fighter.
Not at all, yeah. He's the guy with the yellow helmet just in the front of that shot there. You can see, just like, okay then, I'll just lean further and go wider and just keep it pinned.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's really nice riding style Hamada's got, quite distinctive, and it helps, of course, with that yellow helmet, just as Carter Thompson with the bright orange as well. It's nice for us.
Yeah, and even if Carter Thompson's helmet's very similar to Furusato's, they are usually, unfortunately for Carter Thompson, at different points of the circuit, so it's quite easily distinguishable.
So far at Lusail,
at the moment.
Yeah,
it's been
a commentator's dream in that sense. But Sherrill then really locked back onto the rear tyre of Tayo Furusato, and yeah, he's looking pretty aggressive again. Looks like he's harrying the Japanese rider a little bit. Probably just had a few scrappy moments, but it seems like he does likely have the pace then to go all the way with the number 15.
And every time he comes down the start and finish straight, you feel like it's a bit of a dummy run, a practice run, the rehearsal for what he intends to do over the line. But this time around, just looks as though he's sitting on in, checking about Furusato's line out the final corner. He didn't really make much of an effort there to go up the inside, and I'd be surprised if he does make any effort anymore to try and overtake him into turn 1, because Furusato is extremely strong there.
Yeah, definitely. I think that if Sherrill was gonna, he made a move sort of mid-race. I think if he did have a
shove there.
Yeah. These guys' elbows out already. But yeah, Sherrill did have a bit of a look earlier on mid-race, and at that point, if he makes it stick and he does have a little bit more in hand, then it makes sense there. But now with 4 laps to go, or just less than 4 laps to go, it makes sense to wait and then try and duel it out on the final lap, I think. Unlike these guys, of course, who have gone for all-out war.
Yeah, Hakim Danish there going extremely wide on the exit of turn 2. Couldn't quite park it on the line he wanted to get ahead of Nicholas, but who is in turn looking up the inside again of Kanta Hamada, who says, no, if the front wheel's there, I'm still going in front of you, pal. I don't care, I'm off. And as you can see, that characteristically very classic, almost Japanese 250 rider style riding method that he has there. Carter Thompson just behind them now, back in the battle for this primary third position. Is Sherrill back on the rear of this group? No, it's with him and number 14, Tetsuya Fujita, off the back of this group now. So they're out of the podium fight.
Yeah, they are. They've been dropped by this group, but hey, it's getting spicy in here, isn't it? It's hard to read those numbers so quickly, but yeah, there's a few little different pockets of riders here, but as we've seen so many times, as soon as we're on the start-finish straight again, I'm sure it'll be one gaggle heading into turn 1. But yeah, at the moment though, definitely advantage Hamada and Thompson with a tiny bit of daylight behind them there, look. Now if the Australian's got his thinking cap on, he'll try and sit in behind the number 8 and not slow each other down.
Yeah, they've got a great example about 17.5 seconds up the road ahead of how working together can really pay its dues in this Asia Talent Cup race. What about Thompson into turn 15? No, he's not going to take him there, and now Gunmie, with a bit of daylight ahead of him, has managed to catch onto the back of them. It was a cracking move from him down into turn 10 there, carrying so much corner speed, not sacrificing his line up the inside of Nicholas, but I guess that's to be expected, a more experienced rider on a rookie.
Yeah, it's yeah, they proved me wrong very quickly there, didn't they? Gunmie immediately closing that duo down again, but I don't know what to say about these guys. It's literally replay of race 1, but in the best way. Absolutely loving it once again. There's a fantastic photo as well that our photographer Mauro got yesterday of Furusato just looking over his shoulder, and Sharil just a couple of bike lengths behind. Really cool stuff. But yeah, I think we've seen now over the line Sharil not pulling out too much. He doesn't seem to want to make that move or try to make that move into turn 1, although like we've said, Furusato is very, very strong down there. But he's not been ahead over the line. So if he is doing a dry run, he now knows that likely sitting behind him is not quite going to get him what he wants.
Yeah, this is the debate, isn't it? With 3 laps to go, 2.5 now or so, does he want to do a proper practice run and actually try and overtake him by the time the finish line comes around? Or does he want to keep his cards close to his chest for that final assault? Furusato knows exactly what it's like, unfortunately. Oh, who's that going extremely wide? Is that Aditama? I hope not, because that would be a real shame. It is the number 3, the Indonesian rider, completely loses touch with this group now down at turn 6. That was a huge mistake. He'll be absolutely gutted with that, and we are for him as well.
Yeah, that's disappointing there, with not much time to try and make that back up either. But luckily he did hold it though. It looks a bit dusty out there on the runoff, so good work from him. And then we can see we've got an Australian duel at the front of this group. Marianus Nicholas really still in there, still stuck into the podium fight, and it's impressive stuff from him.
Yeah, I think that's probably rider of the day for me. This is extremely impressive from Nicholas to make that level of progression from one weekend to the next, one race to the next even, just sort of putting everything he's learned after the last several weeks now that they've been in Qatar all into one for a podium fight. Extremely impressive from the Aussie, although probably perhaps most impressive of all in terms of the season as a whole, that number 21 Daniel Sharil. What a story this is.
Yeah, it really is a great story, and I don't know, how's it going to end today? It's really hard to call here, because you can see he doesn't seem really too keen to make that move, does he? He's just content to sit in behind him, use that slipstream to make sure he's able to tag onto the back of the number 15. But yeah, at some sections it's going up by a 10th here and there, and then Sharil just reels him straight back in.
Yeah, I do wonder whether he should perhaps just give it a little go, Daniel Sharil, down into this, coming on to the final lap this time around, because Furusato, he's still got fairly fresh memories of what it's like to be overtaken at the line. As who was that going up the inside? Outside, I should say. I think that was Wakamatsu trying to take second spot. No, it's not. It was Nicholas. So if that was him going around the outside of Carter Thompson, that's a pretty extraordinary, that's a Hamada level line into turn 1, that was.
I was going to ask you then, which move exactly are you referring to?
Yeah,
there's about 5 happening on the screen at the same time.
The one mainly for third place as they go into turn 4 and Thompson takes it back.
Yeah, so these guys having a great all-Australian battle, and Aditama then does look like he's gathered himself together a little bit, but I think that gap might be a little bit too much given how many kilometres we now don't have left in this race. Oh, it's that Nicholas having a bit of a moment there as well.
Could be. He's now behind Gunmie, Wakamatsu behind him as well, then Hamada and Danish still well within this fight. There's a few bike lengths between them and Carter Thompson up ahead, but that will not be enough for the slipstream. They'll be back together at the latest by turn 1 next time around, which will be the final time around in this last race we have at the Lusail International Circuit. And it looks like once again though we will be having a duel to the line, Japan versus Malaysia, Furusato versus Sharil. What a story this is in general, just absolutely excellent stuff from the Asia Talent Cup, as we come to expect. will never get desensitized to this level of action.
It's one of those things, isn't it, where it's like, I love the action that we've seen in today's race. Absolutely great. Some elbows out even, fantastic racing, great moves, but I've also got those real pre-last lap nerves of, come on everyone, can we calm down?
So this is it then, no rehearsals as yet from Daniel Sharil. Does that beg the question whether he has the speed and the acceleration to take Furusato at the line? But this time around he does pull out from the slipstream. He tries to take Furusato at the inside of turn 1, but he cannot do it that time around. Furusato still just so strong into turn 1. What about turn 2? Does he want to force him into a mistake? These are the kind of high-speed chess moves that these riders contemplate every single millisecond around this 5.2-kilometre course.
Exactly. So earlier we saw him go for a move at turn 4. Don't know if he's close enough.
No, and oh, there's a rider down there who's going a bit slow. Perhaps they crashed out and rejoined.
So as you were then at the moment for these guys, but Sharil definitely looking like he's looking for a place to attack rather than waiting for that drag out the final corner.
Both cleanly through turn 6. That's where the long lap penalty lane is, as you can see. So just a bit more than half a lap to go here. This is a real fast and flowing section. If anything, we've seen that Sharil can be quite strong in these fast and flowing sections. This is turn 7. Flick it left into turn 8. Beautiful little cambery bit there as well. This is the battle behind for third place. We're going to have to pay attention to this, but perhaps not right now, as well, that could be a bit chaotic going into turn 10. And Itama's got onto the back of the group once again, and Sharil has made a move for the lead at turn 10. He runs it wide though, like he did yesterday. How will that mess up his run through turn 11? It doesn't. He stays ahead, but only just. It's the slipstream for Furusato going into turn 12, 13 and 14.
Oh, that was nice stuff from Daniel Sharil today. Managed to keep that door closed and slammed it there as well. Can the Malaysian hold on?
Oh, don't go on
very
those track
close.
limits, otherwise
Very
Race Director could get involved, and it's a front end tuck as well. It's ruining his run towards turn 15.
And Furusato then has struck back. This is it then. It is going to come down to that drag to the line likely, even though that's not obviously what the number 21 had in mind.
He's going to go up the inside, or is he not? I think he wants to, but Furusato carrying so much corner speed. What about the drive to the line then? It's all about the slipstream once again. Come on, Daniel. You can get that win. Malaysia's behind you. He's pulling out for the slipstream. Will it be enough? I don't know. It's so close across the line again. It's 4 from 4. For Furusato. What a win, and it is heartbreak a little bit now for Sharil. And what about third spot? Oh, it's Aditama onto the back of Wakamatsu. He's riding the back of another motorcycle that isn't his own. And could it be Danish? There are 2 Malaysians now on the podium here in race 2. Or will they? Because Carter Thompson's coming. Is he going to get it though? No, not this time. Wow, what a finish that was to the Asia Talent Cup.
That really was. I'm on my feet about to head down to the podium, but could not look away from that. Those guys in that group battle, some real elbows out there, but Hakeem Danish, really impressive. He'd not been the key presence at the front of that group, but got it done back on the podium.